It's Nola Simon. I'm the host of the Hope and Possibilities podcast. And I want to talk a little bit about what's happening with reputation and AI and also communication. So I've written about this a little bit. I actually, before, it was like maybe mid-July, I had somebody who actually critiqued an essay that I had written. I've been very clear and transparent that I've been experimenting with AI. A challenge that I have is I don't necessarily see a whole lot of use for AI in the stuff that I actually work on, other than actually helping me elaborate and write longer and more detailed essays. So I've been experimenting with that because I like writing. The parts that I don't like about writing are really actually related to training. So the takeaway questions, the reflections, and stuff that people add on to essays to help people really think for themselves. I'm not that interested in that. And so AI was helping me with that kind of stuff because I would often actually record a podcast and then use the transcript to really build out the essay. So it's based on my voice. It was all transcripts from actually doing the podcast. And then I could weave it into actually something a little bit more essay-like and then have these takeaway questions to help people think for themselves and do those reflections. I'm a role model. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a coach. I really leading by example. And that kind of training type exercise isn't my forte. It's not really something that I'm interested in, but I do know that some people do like that. So when I've been reflecting on how I've been using AI, it's not really necessary. And this person critiqued me because she felt that I'd lost my voice. I hadn't been specific enough, and the way that I was using it, it sounded more like Claude than it sounded like me. I didn't agree because I had spent a lot of time on that, and as I said, I start with my voice. But what I found when I was actually working through everything she said and, the emotions surrounding getting feedback that you don't love, is how indefensible it really is. It's not like I can't write. I definitely can, but it's just more of, am I experimenting for the sake of experimenting, trying to see where it fits, and is it really that useful? So in terms of like SEO and AEO and attracting people to a website and coming up in search, that's absolutely a part for it. I'm still going to be doing stuff like that because, again, I'm not that interested in figuring out keywords and how search works on the back end. I know that I have to do it. I know that I have to have information where people, if they're trying to locate me or they're trying to locate somebody who thinks like me, the systems will find me. That's really the discoverability of it all. But what's happened now is how it really affects reputation, and is it really worthwhile taking the risk of experimenting publicly? And I don't think it is. So last week, Substack introduced Pangram. So that means that it's a system that you can actually scan, work into, and have it rate whether it's 100% human or some percentage of AI assist or completely AI. It's unreliable, like all AI detectors are, but some people really like the idea of being able to certify themselves 100% human. I don't. I think it feels like surveillance. I think it feels like the only people who really benefit from this are Substack, because they're saying that they've been able to do something. In Pangram, who obviously get a lot of publicity out of it, apparently they're up for a new funding round, and that's a big part of what their funding is going to be based on. So I'm trying not to talk that much about them anymore now that I've learned that. But how does it benefit you to have your users tattletale on each other and mark other people as less than human. I don't see how that benefits us at all. And also, like, such a thing as malicious compliance exists. So you can't run it on posts that are less than 100 words. You can't run it on anything that has audio. You can't run it on anything that has video. You can't run it if there's a paywall. So personally, that's what I'm going to do, is any experimentation that I'm doing, I'm going to move that behind a paywall. And if I make anything public, it's going to be less than 100 words. It's going to have audio and video in it because I know the systems can't run that yet. Now, that will eventually change, and that's not going to protect me. But I think that payroll really is actually going to do something. And that's the other part, is like, why am I experimenting? What am I hoping to learn from it? Am I doing it just because it's there? Am I being lazy, really? And then LinkedIn saw the success or backlash or whatever they considered Substack to be, and they added a seems like AI slop button so that anybody in the world could happen across your post, report it, and then we don't exactly know what happens. LinkedIn, as usual, is less than forthright. But honestly, it's right there in the language, and the button seems like. So there's no proof. There's no test. There's just, this is the way I'm feeling about what you've presented as your work. Whether it's AI or whether you actually wrote it yourself and I just don't like you, anybody in the world could really just hit that report and LinkedIn would do something. Does that seem like it's got the potential to be ripe for abuse? Does that concern anybody? Since we know that ageism is a thing, misogyny is a thing, racism is a thing, does that concern anybody? It's not like the internet is a very nice place these days. And that brings me to a new thing that happened over the weekend. There's a whole bunch of influencers, and somebody corrected me that the person they knew was not actually an influencer. She actually had a business. But because she posts on TikTok and Instagram and has large followings there, and also attended a brand deal by OpenAI, she's functioning like an influencer. So I think that the line between thought leadership and influencer is a very interesting line. And I have also, going back to that misogyny thing, heard that the word influencer often gets negative connotation because it's mostly women who are successful influencers. A lot of them anyway. Anyways, this person that I've been following for a while because she's interesting. She has some really good ideas. She's got something. And I can't tell you that I like her because there's a lot of things that she says that I don't agree with. But she's captivating in lots of ways, right? So I look at her as somebody I could possibly learn from, mainly because I don't 100% agree with her. It's like, what is she doing that's so successful, and why does it bother me? Right? Because in lots of ways, what she says really bothers me. She deals with a lot of negative comments and a lot of homophobia in her comments. And it's sometimes off the chart. I don't know that I'd want to be publicly posting on TikTok these days, I gotta tell you. I have an account. I don't really use it that much. Anyways, so this brand deal kind of went off the charts. She didn't help herself. She posted a tour of her room at this farm that they were staying in. They weren't paid apparently, but it was transportation and accommodations and food. And she was talking about AI and how wonderful OpenAI is while running a bath. You can imagine that the people who are concerned about water consumption in data centers tore her apart in the comments. But this is the concern that I have. So are there concerns about AI? Absolutely there are, right? There's environmental concerns. There's concerns about jobs. There's concerns about ethics. Like the list of concerns is so deep, I don't even want to go into it right now. But you have to look at this kind of thing. And she posted again later, and I didn't know this was going to be so controversial. I had no understanding that AI brought out this depth of feeling in people. For one, how do you go on a brand trip for a company and the only thing you know about them is you think that you're a good brand? How do you not do the research, especially when you're presenting yourself as a thought leader who's capable of deep research? How do you not know anything about the reputation of the company who's actually brought you on this brand deal? And she wasn't the only one. There were other people who are invited to this thing as well. Now, it comes down to trust and reputation, right? So do they deserve to be torn apart in comments? No, I think we should be capable of having like civil conversations, presenting these concerns without name calling, without insults. And that's on both sides. It's not Chatham rules on the internet, right? And the internet is going to do what the internet is going to do. Nobody can control that. So how do you present yourself in a way that optimizes for trust while preserving your reputation, right? And it's not by calling people lunatics. It's not by being defensive. It's having a whole PR strategy. If you're going to be a public persona and you're actually going to be doing brand deals and talking about things that are controversial, is knowing your stuff and having that strategy of how you're owning it, how you're explaining it, how you're promising it, and have those values that align. Now, I think that becoming a thought leader, becoming a creator these days is a really challenging position to be because everything is shifting so much and values are really under pressure. And optics. Everybody's examining the optics. It's beneficial to have a really good understanding of what PR does, right? And how you preserve your reputation. This is what's interesting to me about the future of work, because it's not like platforms are not trying to encourage people to be visible, right? LinkedIn just came out with a collaboration thing. You can actually add like 5 different collaborators to a post. It's designed to have people talk about things. And that's the way the platforms work. The more you talk about things, the more you get engagement. Then ideally, it's hopefully benefiting you and your company, but also it's benefiting those platforms. So you really have to assess when you're doing any of these types of activities like brand deals, like sponsorships, how is that company going to represent you as your own personal brand? Right? Do you want your name tied to them? I think that we have to be a lot more careful. I think that it really comes down to employees as well, too, is do you want to be associated long term with these types of companies, right? I can't tell you that I would take a brand deal like this. And honestly, I've done previous podcasts about how I self-fund my podcast rather than look for sponsors because I have concerns like this in terms of reputation and also what it means when you're advocating for a third party that you have no control over and you can't really influence either in terms of their decisions and how they present themselves. It's the Wild West right now. I know that a lot of creators make a lot of money from sponsorship deals and brand partnerships and stuff like that too, but there's a real concern about trust with this on both sides. How do you manage that reputation piece, right? And it's not just about AI, but AI is infiltrating everywhere, right? So are you transparent with how you're using it? Are you doing it in such a way that it benefits you and your business and your relationships? And what kind of future is it helping you build towards, not just immediately? That's really what we have to look into in terms of the future of work. So I think there's a real concern about alignment of values, communication, trust, and reputation. And it's not just for people who are self-employed as freelancers or creators. It's for employees and how they represent themselves as individuals, but also as part of the brand, the company that they work for, right? That's a big part of what your future is. And you're presenting them as part of your resume, or part of your work history. It's important that you're aligned. And that's something that I'm looking at, is how do you operate safely in a way that feels ethical and is going to get you where you want to be. Anyways, those are my concerns for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts.